What happens when a Hollywood legend sits down on live television expecting a friendly conversation and instead finds himself in the middle of a storm he never saw coming? Make sure to subscribe to Final Take Files and like and comment for more talk show coverage. Welcome back, everyone, Whoopi says, adjusting her glasses and looking down at the cards in her hands. We're joined today by one of the biggest names in film, a man you all know very well, Robert Downey Jr. The audience claps loudly, a few people standing up, phones already in the air. Robert smiles, gives a small wave, and leans into the table like he's done this 1,000 times before. Thanks for having me, he says. I was told there'd be snacks. The crowd laughs, and Joy jumps in immediately. We ate them already, honey. More laughter. For the first few minutes it feels easy, the usual back and forth about his new movie, his family, how he chooses roles. Sonny asks something about balancing fame and privacy, and Robert answers smoothly, telling a story about his kids hiding his Oscars in the laundry room. Then Whoopi tilts her head. I want to ask you something a little different, she says. The tone shifts, just slightly. The audience quiets without even realizing it. You've talked a lot about second chances. Do you ever feel like Hollywood gave you grace that regular people don't get? Robert nods slowly. That's a fair question. He pauses, choosing his words. I think I got opportunities others might not. I've never denied that. Joy leans forward. But isn't that the problem? Celebrities mess up, they disappear for a year, and then boom, another blockbuster. A few murmurs from the crowd. Robert's smile tightens but doesn't disappear. I wouldn't describe my life as boom another blockbuster, he replies. There were years where nobody would insure me, let alone hire me. Whoopi raises an eyebrow. Still, the system caught you. It doesn't catch everyone. The audience makes that nervous half sound they always make when they sense something brewing. Robert shifts in his seat. I agree with you on that. But I also put in the work. I didn't wake up and get handed Iron Man with a bow on it. Sonny jumps in, no one's saying you didn't work, but there's a conversation about privilege. And I'm happy to have that conversation, Robert interrupts gently. The first real interruption of the segment. The crowd notices. Alyssa tries to lighten it. See, this is why we love having actors here. They actually talk back. Some laughs, but thinner this time. Whoopi folds her hands. Let me be direct. Do you think the industry protects certain people more than others? The camera cuts to Robert, then back to the table. He takes a breath. I think every industry does, he says. But I don't think guilt is a personality I need to wear for the rest of my life. A couple people in the audience clap. Joy turns toward them. Oh, don't encourage him yet, we're just getting started. The tension rises but still playful, like a match hovering near a flame. Sonny reads from her notes. You once said in an interview that cancel culture can go too far. A lot of our viewers felt that was dismissive of real harm. She looks up. Do you stand by that? Robert laughs softly, not amused. I stand by nuance. The internet doesn't like nuance. Whoopi leans closer. But this isn't the internet. This is real life. Her voice is calm but sharp. The audience goes completely quiet now. I know where I am, Robert replies. I'm saying people are complicated. Joy waves a hand. Some people are complicated. Some people are just not accountable. There it is, the first real spark. Robert looks at her directly. Are we talking about me or a concept? Both, Joy shoots back. A low "oh" ripples through the crowd. The producer's camera switches angles quickly. Sonny tries to step in again. I think what Joy means is... No, I meant what I said, Joy interrupts, smiling but firm. You're a nice guy, Robert, but you also benefited from a machine that crushes other people. Robert exhales through his nose. I didn't build the machine. Whoopi nods. But you rode it. The words hang in the air longer than expected. You can hear someone drop a cup backstage. The audience shifts in their seats. Robert leans back, no longer smiling. I came here to talk about a film, maybe make a few jokes, not sit for a morality trial. That's not what this is, Sonny says quickly. It kind of feels like it, he answers. Alyssa laughs nervously. This is live TV, folks. You never know what you're gonna get. Whoopi looks straight at him. No one's attacking you. We're asking questions our viewers ask us to ask. And I'm answering, Robert says. But I'm not going to pretend my entire existence is something to apologize for. Half the audience claps, half stays silent. The divide in the room becomes visible. Joy shakes her head slightly. See, that's the line that bothers people. Robert turns to her. Which line? The part where I don't hate myself enough. Gasps from a few seats. Sunny whispers, okay, okay. Whoopi raises a hand. Let's breathe for a second. I am breathing, Robert replies, voice tighter now. I'm just surprised. Surprised by strong women asking strong questions. Joy says. No, he answers quickly. Surprised by the assumption that I owe a performance of shame. The crowd reacts again, louder this time. Producers signal for commercial in the earpieces, but no one at the table moves. The moment has taken on a life of its own. Whoopi studies him for a long second. You think that's what we want? I think daytime TV runs on moments, Robert says. And I think I just became one. The camera zooms out as the audience buzzes, everyone realizing this interview has turned into something very different from what was planned. The show comes back from commercial with that slightly too bright energy live TV always has after something uncomfortable. The audience applause sign flashes even though half the crowd is still whispering about what just happened. Whoopi clears her throat and looks into the main camera. And we're back with Robert Downey Jr., she says, voice professional again, like she's steering a ship through rough water. Robert straightens his jacket and tries a small smile. Still here, he says. A few people laugh, relieved to release the tension. Sunny jumps in fast, almost grateful for the chance. Before the break we were talking about accountability in Hollywood, and I want to pivot just a little. She glances at Robert. You've done a lot of work with recovery programs, with prisons, with mentoring young actors. That part of your story doesn't get mentioned enough. Thank you, Robert replies. That actually matters to me more than box office numbers. Joy taps her pen on the table. No one is erasing that, she says. But two things can be true at once. Robert nods. Agreed. I'm just not sure we're talking about the same two things. The audience chuckles nervously. You can feel everyone waiting to see if the temperature will rise again. Alyssa leans in with a lighter tone. Can I ask something completely shallow? In the new movie you do your own stunts again. At what age do you finally say, nah, let the other guy jump off the building? Robert laughs, grateful for the lane change. About 10 years ago, but my ego hasn't caught up. Real laughter this time. For a moment it feels like a normal segment. Whoopi smiles too, but she doesn't let go completely. Humor aside, you've been very open about mistakes. Some people watching feel you get defensive when those mistakes are brought up. Robert thinks before answering. I get defensive when the question isn't really a question. When it's a verdict with a question mark at the end. A murmur rolls through the crowd. Joy raises her eyebrows. So we're judges now? No, he says quickly. But daytime television can feel like a courtroom with better lighting. Even Whoopi lets out a short laugh at that. That might be the most honest description we've ever had. Sunny flips a page of notes. Let me read something you said last year. You told a reporter, I don't want to be defined by the worst chapter of my life. A lot of viewers wrote to us saying they respected that. Robert softens a little. I meant it. And I think most people would want the same grace. Joy crosses her arms. Grace is good. Accountability is better. There it is again, Robert says. Like they're opposites. The audience reacts, a mix of claps and groans. Alyssa looks at the producers off camera with a face that says please don't let this explode again. Whoopi notices and takes control. Robert, let me ask you as a person, not a movie star, she says. Do you ever worry that younger actors look at your story and think consequences are optional? He answers faster this time. No. Because my story was consequences. Jail was consequences. Losing my family was consequences. I didn't skip a bill. The room goes quiet. That line lands heavy. Even Joy doesn't interrupt right away. Sunny speaks gently. That's important to hear. But, Joy adds, unable to leave it alone, you also landed on your feet in a way most people never could. Robert turns fully toward her. And what would you like me to do about that today? Invent a time machine and fail harder. Gasps again, louder than before. A man in the front row whispers, "Wow," without realizing his mic is nearby. Whoopi raises both hands. Okay, let's slow this down. I'm not trying to be rude, Robert says, though his voice has an edge now. I just don't know what the end goal of this conversation is. The goal is honesty, Joy replies. Honesty without context is just a weapon, he shoots back. The audience buzzes like a hive kicked by a stick. Sunny leans forward. I think what everyone is feeling is that these conversations are bigger than one person. I agree, Robert says. Which is why putting it all on one guest for a 10-minute segment feels strange. Alyssa jumps in, voice bright. This might be the realest interview we've had in months. Too real for my publicist, Robert mutters, and even Joy laughs despite herself. Whoopi looks at him carefully. You know people care because they see you as more than an actor. That's the price of being beloved. He considers that. Beloved is a heavy word. So is responsible, Joy answers. Robert leans forward, elbows on the table now, no longer performing the cheerful guest role. Can I ask something back? That's dangerous, Whoopi says with a grin. I'm serious, he continues. If I sit here and list every mistake I ever made, cry on cue, say the exact sentences you want, does the world get better? Or do we just get a good clip? The audience erupts into the loudest reaction of the day, some cheering, some uncomfortable. Producers can be seen whispering behind the cameras. Sunny hesitates. That's a fair challenge. Joy shakes her head. Or it's deflection wrapped in philosophy. There it is again, Robert says quietly. Whoopi senses the cliff edge and steps in. All right. We're going to take another quick break before this table turns into Thanksgiving at my aunt's house. Laughter breaks the tension for a second, but the mood is still thick. As the music cue plays, Robert reaches for his water, hands not quite steady. The camera pulls back and the audience keeps talking among themselves, everyone knowing they're watching a moment that won't stay inside this studio. When the cameras return again, the atmosphere is completely different from the cheerful segment that was planned in the rundown. The audience applause comes in uneven waves, some people clapping out of habit, others just watching the table like spectators at a boxing match. Whoopi waits a beat longer than usual before speaking, letting the noise fade on its own. All right, she says, we're still here, still live, and still talking with Robert Downey Jr. She glances at him. You hanging in? Robert gives a half smile. I've survived worse interviews. Joy laughs under her breath. We're aiming for memorable, not traumatic. That line's getting blurry, Robert answers, and a ripple of laughter moves through the crowd. Sunny tries to reset the tone. I want to zoom out for a second. This isn't just about you. It's about how we as a culture deal with people who've messed up and then rebuilt their lives. Robert nods. I'm actually interested in that conversation. I just don't love being Exhibit A every time. Whoopi tilts her head. But you are Exhibit A. Not because we picked you, but because your life became public. Fair, he says. I signed up for the spotlight, not the courtroom, but I get the overlap. Alyssa jumps in, eager to keep the bridge intact. Let me ask something as someone who worked in politics. We talk about redemption there too. Do you think America even believes in it anymore? Robert thinks for a moment, fingers tapping the mug in front of him. I think America loves redemption as a story. We just hate it when it's messy in real time. A few people clap at that. Joy leans toward him. But redemption without accountability is just rebranding. You really like that sentence, Robert replies. Because it's true, Joy says. Or because it fits on a tote bag, he shoots back, and the audience bursts into surprised laughter. Even Whoopi covers her mouth to hide a grin. Sunny raises her hands. Okay, let's keep it above the belt. I am above the belt, Robert says. I just don't speak in bumper stickers. Whoopi studies him again, the way she does when she's deciding whether to push or protect a guest. Robert, let me ask you something personal. Do you regret coming on today? He doesn't answer right away. The pause stretches long enough that you can hear the air conditioner humming in the studio. I regret thinking it would be easy, he finally says. I don't regret the conversation. Joy nods slowly. That's honest. Sunny softens her voice. What would you want people watching at home to understand about you that gets lost in headlines? Robert exhales. That I'm not a symbol. I'm a guy who messed up, got lucky, worked hard, and is still figuring it out. Same as most people, just with better catering. The audience laughs, warmer this time. For a brief moment the room feels human again instead of ideological. But Joy isn't finished. You say you're not a symbol, yet your movies make billions. You influence elections, social issues, everything. Robert shakes his head. I play dress-up for a living. Let's not confuse that with moral authority. Then why do people listen to you? Joy presses. Because they liked me in a metal suit 10 years ago, he answers, and the crowd laughs louder than expected. Whoopi leans back. He's got a point. Sunny flips through another card. There's also the issue of how men and women are treated differently after scandal. Do you think you'd have the same career if you weren't a man? Robert's expression changes, more serious than before. Probably not, he admits. That's one area where I don't have a clever answer. The audience murmurs approval. Joy looks surprised by the concession. See, we can agree on things, Sunny says. Miracles happen on weekday mornings, Robert replies. Alyssa laughs. Put that on the tote bag. The table relaxes for a minute, but the tension never fully leaves. Whoopi circles back carefully. Earlier you said you felt like you were on trial. That wasn't the intention. I know, Robert says. But intentions and impact are different, right? I've learned that from about 1,000 Twitter storms. Joy raises an eyebrow. So you do listen to critics? I listen, he says. I just don't let them write the whole story. A man in the audience shouts, "Tell him, Robert," and security gives him a look. The crowd laughs. Sunny smiles. You've got supporters in the house. Robert glances around. I appreciate that, but I'm not looking for a fan club today. Whoopi folds her hands. Then what are you looking for? He considers the question longer than any before. Maybe just to be treated like a person who can be wrong without being a villain, and successful without being a suspect. The room goes quiet again, but this silence is different, less sharp, more thoughtful. Even Joy seems to weigh the words instead of batting them away. That's fair, she says quietly, surprising everyone at the table. For a second no one speaks. The producers shift nervously because silence is dangerous on live television. Alyssa finally breaks it. Well, this took a turn none of us rehearsed. There was a rehearsal. Robert jokes. Whoopi laughs, grateful for the oxygen. Never on this show. Sunny looks at the clock mounted near the cameras. We've only got a few minutes before the next segment, and I feel like we opened a door we can't close in one day. Robert nods. That might be the most accurate thing said all morning. Joy glances at him. You're not as scary as the internet told me. And you're not as mean, he answers. The audience reacts with a mixture of oh and amused claps. The mood finally softens, though the undercurrent is still there, like a storm that's moved offshore but hasn't disappeared. Whoopi leans toward the camera. We'll be right back, she says, and when we return, we'll see if this table can survive the last round. The music swells, but the microphones are still hot for a second longer. Robert can be heard quietly saying, "My agent is having a heart attack," and Joy replies, "Mine too." The audience laughs as the screen fades, everyone aware they've just witnessed the kind of television people talk about for years. The final segment opens with a wider camera shot than usual, like the director wants the audience at home to see the whole battlefield instead of just the fighters. People in the crowd are still talking to each other, some scrolling on their phones, already reading what the internet is saying about a show that technically hasn't even finished yet. Whoopi waits for the noise to settle and then gives that familiar half-smile she uses when she knows television history might be happening. All right, she says, we've made it to the last stretch with Robert Downey Jr., and I think everyone at this table has earned a glass of something stronger than coffee. Robert laughs, loosening his shoulders. I was promised a safe landing. Joy shakes her head. There are no safe landings on live TV, only survivable ones. Sunny turns toward the audience. During the break our producers told us social media is already very active. She chooses the word carefully. Some people are praising Robert for being honest, others think we went too easy, and a few think we should all join a family therapy program. The crowd laughs and claps at that. Whoopi nods. That sounds about right. She looks at Robert. How are you feeling now, honestly? He takes a second before answering. Like I just ran a marathon in dress shoes. But I'm okay. Alyssa jumps in. You should see the comments coming in. One person wrote, "This is the realest episode The View has had in years." Another wrote, "Please never invite actors again." So you're uniting the country. Robert grins. Finally, bipartisanship. Joy leans forward, softer than earlier. Look, I want to say something. We push because our job is to ask what viewers are thinking. But I don't think anyone here wanted you to feel ambushed. He meets her eyes. I appreciate you saying that. Don't get used to it, Joy adds, and the table laughs, releasing some of the leftover electricity. Sunny reads from a tablet. There's a tweet going viral that says, "I came for movie promo and got Thanksgiving dinner with my loud relatives." Accurate, Robert says. I kept waiting for someone to bring out the pie and unresolved childhood issues. Whoopi folds her hands. This show has always been messy. That's the point. Real conversations are messy. Robert nods. I can respect that. I just wish someone had warned my blood pressure. A man in the front row shouts, "You did great, man," and the audience applauds, this time more unified. Alyssa turns serious for a moment. There's also a lot of discussion online about the double standard you admitted earlier, how men and women are treated differently after scandal. People are saying that was an important moment. Robert shrugs lightly. If something good came out of me sweating through this jacket, I'll take it. Joy looks at him thoughtfully. You surprised me today. Good surprised or bad surprised? He asks. Annoyingly good surprised, she answers, and the crowd laughs. Whoopi glances at the clock. Before we run out of time, I want to ask one last thing. After everything today, would you come back? Robert pretends to think hard. Maybe with a helmet. Fair, Whoopi says. We'll provide one with the logo. Sunny addresses the audience. For those asking what happened after the break, nothing dramatic, no thrown chairs, no storming off. Just a lot of deep breaths and a makeup artist who deserves a raise. Robert adds, and my publicist pacing like a caged tiger. The camera cuts to a quick shot of someone offstage laughing and shaking their head. Joy straightens her papers. You know, these moments follow people. Clips get cut, headlines get written, and nuance disappears. I hope some of what you said survives the chopping block. So do I, Robert replies. But I've met the internet. We're not close friends. Whoopi turns directly to the main camera. To everyone watching, this is what live television looks like, imperfect people talking about imperfect things. Sunny nods. And whether you agreed with Robert or with us or with nobody at all, the fact that you're talking means the conversation mattered. The audience applauds again, more relaxed now, like the storm has finally passed and everyone is checking to see what damage is left. A few people are still typing furiously on their phones, already predicting how tonight's entertainment shows will frame the segment. Alyssa smiles at Robert. You survived the view. I'm requesting a medal, he says. Joy points at him. Don't push it. Whoopi laughs and then her tone becomes reflective. After the show, we'll all go back to our corners of the world. You'll make movies, we'll argue about something else tomorrow, and the audience will decide what they think. That's how this works. Robert nods slowly. And I'll probably watch this later and yell at the screen like everyone else. Sunny closes her tablet. Well, for what it's worth, I'm glad you stayed in the chair. Me too, he says. Even if my heart rate isn't. The producer counts down in Whoopi's earpiece and she gives the familiar wrap-up smile. That's all the time we have today. Thanks to Robert Downey Jr. for sitting through what might be the longest coffee break of his life. The audience stands and applauds, some cheering, some still debating with the person next to them. Robert waves, shakes a few hands at the table, and you can see relief on his face mixed with that exhausted adrenaline people get after a near miss. As the credits music begins, Sunny leans toward him and whispers something the microphones barely catch. Joy jokes about needing a group hug, and Whoopi mouths "We survived" to the camera. The lights start to dim and producers move in, already planning how to handle the fallout that will dominate entertainment news by the afternoon. Online, clips are already spreading, some praising Robert for holding his ground, others praising the hosts for not backing down, and a whole army arguing about who was right and who was rude. By the time the makeup team reaches the table, the hashtag with his name is trending across the country. And to everyone watching right now, this is where the story continues with you. Share your opinion in the comments and subscribe to Final Take Files for more real talk show stories.